Dr. Wayne here to talk about mastery. Recently I was asked about mastery, so I took a few minutes, sketched out some ideas, consulted a few papers I had on hand, and in the next few minutes I'd like to share with you 3 key ideas that should help you to improve your mastery. First, why does mastery even matter? Well, self-determination theory suggests that mastery, or as they call it, competence, is one of 3 needs that we have driving us, along with autonomy and relatedness. This is also a key motivator, and some other researchers have found that even globally there's correlation between subjective well-being, positive feelings, and mastery. So what can we do first to develop mastery? Well, one of the key pieces for developing mastery is this idea of deep practice or deliberate practice. Coyle refers to this idea as deep practice. K. Anders Ericsson refers to it as deliberate practice. This is the idea of not just putting in your 10,000 hours mindlessly. This is about really digging into your practice, going deep and deliberate in what it is that you're doing, as opposed to just showing up and putting in the time. You can consult the Talent Code, the Little Book of Talent. These are great resources from Coyle that go into that in more depth. What does that get you? Well, that deep practice, deliberate practice, also leads to deliberate thinking. When we do deliberate thinking, this looks like, before taking an action, let's think through what actions potentially could we take. What are some of the consequences of those actions? Great. Once we've taken an action, then we take a step back and we take a look. What went wrong? What can we do to prevent that in the future? This sort of deliberate thinking allows us to take huge strides just with the amount of time that we put in. So this is one of the key pieces, the deep, deliberate practice and thinking. The next key idea that's related to this is the idea of learning agility. So what is learning agility? This is the willingness and ability to learn from your experiences and apply these lessons into new and challenging situations. With that learning agility in place, we find that the deliberate thinking and practice happens, but it's a separate sort of thing. And there are, according to Korn Ferry, Demuth writing there, that there are a number of sub-facets of this idea of learning agility that we can look at. What it really comes down to is you didn't stop learning just because you left school. When you are going for mastery, you're continuously learning. And in fact, some people think of mastery as something that you attain and you have forever. But real mastery involves doing it all the time, continuing that deep, deliberate practice and thinking, spending the time with the learning to maintain and expand your knowledge. The third key piece that I feel goes into mastery is being able to work with your environment, whether that's the external environment or the internal environment. So what does that mean? What that really means is that think of the artistic masters from the Renaissance. They were masters of their external world, setting up their studio, their daily routines, their work environment in ways that worked for them. We also find that most masters will actually have taken the time to work on their internal environment too. So what sorts of things happen here? They're aware of their self-talk. They're aware of what sorts of goals they're setting and making sure that they are well formed. They spend a lot of time focused on the internal world as well as the external world and bringing those together into alignment or synergy. So with these 3 pieces in mind, we can make a lot of strides in terms of mastery. Personally, I know that developing mastery is something that takes a lot of time and energy and commitment, and very few people rise to that challenge because of the costs. Personally, I think it's worth it. both for my own well-being and for the impact that it can have on the people around me. Hopefully you'll take up the challenge also.